I feel this sort of guilt or this sort of responsibility to the artists who I work with that I share here on the YouTube channel. And that is because I am open for people to completely critique me, completely tear down my mixing and mastering techniques. I actually invite it because that is how I learn. And it can be a pretty disarming thing when I agree with people who sort of tear into my mixing and mastering practices because I genuinely want to learn more. But the guilt or responsibility I'm facing is when other engineers, producers start to tear down the artists who I work with without any constructive criticism. They're just stupid comments. And to me, that's really disappointing because I get it if there's something constructive to be said or helpful to be said that can bring other people up in the community, but to downright put down a third party who's isolated from a discussion that doesn't have the opportunity to rebut or engage in that discussion, I think feels icky. And the reason why I face that responsibility is because I'm happy and open for people to critique me. But when I put other artists up on this platform, I sort of almost like a parent figure want to protect them because it's like, well, wait a second, this is our art. This is what we created. This is sort of like a sacred process to bring this together in terms of the whole creation of this artwork. And it ruins it, for me at least, when other engineers or producers go down the rabbit hole of putting them down. Now, this isn't a woe is me, and if you're watching this video, I want you guys to leave this video with something constructive, and that's exactly what I'm going to lay out here. So that way, this isn't just me bitching and moaning and going, oh, woe is me. It is whoever engages in this dialogue or discussion or follows this channel can engage in this experience I'm having as an opportunity to help yourselves improve as engineers. Now, I'm not talking down to the engineers who are hanging shit on those artists because anybody in that sort of mindset can't be helped, but there's some lessons we can learn. The engineers who really want to engage in helping other artists and bringing the best to the table as mixing and mastering engineers that we can learn from this. And that is, number one, if you don't like a project, you don't have to take it on. Okay, so if you don't like somebody's music or you don't feel like you're going to engage the best in it, don't take it on. And that's completely fine. And there's ways around. And this is how I deal with that sort of situation. And that is having a large network of many different producers and mixing engineers who suit various different styles. So you don't necessarily need to shut down an artist if they're coming to you for work. What you can do is you can help lift them up by pointing them in the direction of another mixing engineer or producer who might be more suited to their style. The other thing is we also have to have a bit of a reality check as mixing engineers and mastering engineers, and that is not every project we are going to be 110% in agreement on the creative decisions on. However, we are the conduit between a creative vision and the technical application. We as mixing and mastering engineers are that conduit. So in part of our job, not every project's going to be super easy to translate technically. However, we are engineers, we are problem solvers. We have to take some responsibility on our shoulders to think of different and unique ways or approaches and critical thinking to become that conduit where there might be a song that technically, when you listen to it at first glance, is like, how is this going to fit into this format or this direction or this brief that the artist wants? We need to figure that out, especially if we agree to the job, especially if we're happy to get paid for it. We should not complain about it. We should figure a way to do that. And the real magic when it comes to mixing and mastering comes when not we're just that one directional conduit between creative and technical. It's when we are truly embedded within the project to make something special. And by that, I mean, we have a vested interest, and that vested interest is making that project sound as incredible as it possibly can. Now, that isn't always easy. It's not meant to be. And the problem with YouTube, I think in general, and this isn't about the commentators on here, it is about the formatting, the people who put out the media and the content, like myself. We tend to glorify a lot of the easier processes, making a kick drum sound big, making a track sound loud and shiny. We do that because, in part, and I'm going to be honest and candid here, is there's an excitement around that because we feel a sense of fulfillment when things happen that sound great. And the second thing is, it's a much more attractive topic to talk about. A video like this isn't attractive. It's not nice and kind and going to lift everybody up and, open up their doors and start a new trick. It's just me being candid about the reality of the industry. So because there's that glorification around content people consume about making a kick drum big or trying this technique or trying that plugin or trying this piece of gear, everything can feel easily accessible to do all these cool tricks and tips. But the problem is that can be far away. It can be. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't, but it can be very far away from the reality we experience in the studio. Because in the studio, we're not in a controlled recording room environment where you've got a camera pointed at you and the session's all laid out and the technique's already been done, because everything that comes before those next 10 minutes of a tutorial you're going to watch are years of painstakingly trial and error. And that I think we have to recognize, because again, not every creative project we come in is going to be easy. We have to have the grit to persevere and try to not just try, succeed in failing a few times to get it right. Anyway, I know this has been a bit of a ramble, but it was something that I think is, we needed to leave this interaction, or I think it's a bit cathartic. I don't even know if that's the right word, for me to leave the interaction of seeing engineers and producers and mixing engineers and mastering engineers leaving bad comments about artists, because that rubbed me the wrong way. I needed to make something positive out of that to share with you, to learn from, or to help you. It sounds a bit self-righteous, to learn and help you, but more so community-wise, I think there's a lot of people who watch the channel, and I felt that responsibility on my shoulders to be like, well, I got to say something about this, but it can't just be me whinging and whining about it. I want some value to be extracted from this interaction. So that's why I put this video together. Regular programming next week will be really cool. And until next time, take care.